We are live, hopefully. Welcome, everybody. Dave here with Affordable Door and Gate. I hope you are doing great. Let me know if the audio is working. If not, give me a thumbs up, all that good stuff. Make sure I'm live. So I wanted to kind of do this while it was fresh in my memory. I've been talking to a few of you via text and emails, and it's great stuff. Great stuff. I wanted to put a shout out, obviously, to SOS Garage Door. Great dude. Follow his content. He's got good stuff. I just watched one of his videos on the jack shaft opener, Resi, that actually threw the cables. It's one of those reasons why I'm not a big fan of jack shaft openers. 10-inch radius. I get it. It happens. It is what it is. Might not have been able to fit it in there. But since he mentioned, I did hear somebody else on the old YouTube world mention about the 5 Mile Famous. And I cannot stress enough how much as older, look at these. I'm getting old. How many more gray hairs I'm getting, how important this is. And I just want to share it with you guys because I really want to set it home where I think it's so important that we really should focus more closely to home. Here's an example, right? Today there was a kid event at the homestead, and the wife, right? The wife of Tron car has been acting up a little bit. Her battery's only 3 years old, and I noticed that she drained it a few times, right? Leaving something on, headlights or something, just something goofy. A kid leaves the door open. It's gotten hit 2 or 3 times of fully being dead. And I told her, I said, those batteries, I said, they're not built like they used to be. I said, they do not like that kind of stuff. So here's the thing, right? The car was running perfectly last night. The car got parked. They even shut the lights off while they had to unload for some groceries or whatnot. 6 o'clock, they had to be at a sport event today. And with that being said, Dad thought maybe he's going to sleep in just a little bit, right? He's going to kind of say the goodbyes, and like that, and they're going to be kind of off on the merry way. Come to find out, I'm back in my head. It's always kind of like with business. Get the cars running, get the service vehicles running, make sure the skid steer's running, the forklift, because it's inevitable that there'll be some kind of problem. It's sparking out, the battery's dead, it's out of fuel, something is going to arise. It just always seems like it happens. So I mentioned one of the kiddos, I said, get out there. And she said, well, it's like 10 minutes before we got to leave. And I said, I don't care. I said, just get it running. And so anyways, kiddo comes in, says, Dad, it says that the battery's dead. Awesome. Great. So, pretty much, shorts and all, pretty much have to take care of the problem, right? And I realized this morning that I told myself, this is another reason that the kids are lucky they're close to in town for their events. Now, typically, some of their stuff's all of an hour and 15 minutes away. Sometimes they are out of state. So you're talking 5, 6, 8, 20 hours. But I was thinking to myself this morning, thinking about you guys and thinking about business like always, how beautiful it is because you can make decisions so much quicker, right? And I told myself, I said, okay. I said, hey, this has got to get fixed. I said, this is a problem. Her car is going to be traveling, I think, in a couple weekends or something out of state. This car needs to be up on its game. So I said, hey, how about this? I said, you're going to be at this event for quite a bit of the day. I said, why don't I just drop you off? And I said, I will take care of this, And it just, I'm telling you, like I said, with business, with personal, it's that whole 5 Mile Famous. Now I know we all don't stay in 5 miles, but I am kind of in the belief that, so like when I used to work for Lowe's, the box store, they would do 20 miles. Anything outside of 20 miles was additional. And I sometimes try to use the box stores or people that have multi-million dollar businesses, you know what I mean? That they've done some research, right? They figured out why they figure out 20 miles. And then they would start charging extra. And then typically, for us, when we did the Lowe's, you couldn't, it didn't work out so good because like if you were like, oh, well, it's going to be this many miles from this store. Well, you'd get so far into it that you'd be to another store. So it was kind of like, oh, well, they're just going to order it from another store. So we would take care of that other store. We might get another 3 or 5 miles additional out of that. But what I'm saying is I'm just really believing the options of today that, due diligence was all done last night. Everything was packed, bedtime early, food's packed. I mean, you name it. And all of a sudden, bam, this morning, everything just goes to shambles just like in business, right? And it was like, we got options. And the option is obviously if it was farther away, I would have said Saranara. I would have jump started it. I would say good luck. I'd say close your doors very quickly, and let's pray that there's somebody out there that'll give you a jump. Well, she has a couple friends out there to hook her up, but maybe we should send her some jumper cables. Something. I'm gonna eventually buy one of those. I gotta do my research again on those lithium power packs because like this morning, it would have been nice because it's a little bit away from the house and you know what I mean. Like it just been nice to kind of power it up, go, start the car and go. So, I think with I call it kind of the affordable door and gate army here. Rusty, I see is in the house. Rusty, I think is the one that kind of helps spark it off. With the we don't want to be. We're gonna coin that phrase over here, and that's the long distant loser. We don't want to be long distant losers. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up. Like I said, we can leave it to the comments. I'll stay on here for a short. I was thinking about this while it was fresh in my brain. Another one too is that we have a job that is close to the shop. And I even thought about darting over to do a few items it's on a gate operator. But I thought if I could get a few things, get it powered up, maybe get the chain on it, the weather, right? That's the thing, right? If you're in beautiful climate, I think that totally changes. But if you're dealing with snow and rain and mud season and all kinds of variables, high winds, sleet, cold, the rain that comes out of the ground, those variables all change now. So I've been watching the weather, and it's like today even, right, was one of those like, well, do I bring a shelter? Do I bring a sheet of plywood and put it over between me and the fence so my back's not getting hammered with either snow or whatever is going to happen? A lot of variables. But the beautiful thing is that if I'm close to the shop, I have a ton of options. I have so much at my disposal. It's not even funny. But if I'm far away, I just see it all the time. Even when we did this one that we did a long distant loser, and it was like nobody knew where they're at. Everybody was kind of doing like, well, I think there's a restaurant down here. I think there's fast food this way. I think there's a lumber yard. And we were in a super, very populated city that, there's tons of stores around. It's just where, you know what I mean? And how do you get into them? And what is the layout? Where do you go? How do you get onto it for back roads? So there's just a lot more factors into it. And I just keep thinking about, how many times I've done things that I went, that's a little bit too far away, but I'll do it. And it's even, even if you factor in there, there's still variables. I don't know. That's just me. Let's see what Rusty's got on here. Rusty, thanks for being here as always. It's good to see you. I says I was 5 Mile famous today and charged a remote battery. Was it change? Oh, changed the remote battery. Nice. Remotes are always one of those things that I like. I like the Marantech idea. I don't think anybody else does it in a sense, but I always, that's why I was going to start kind of doing the Marantech because I like that you could have that little cube thing or whatever it was, little terminal, and you could stick them together, and that's how you would learn to another remote. I thought, oh my gosh! I said, this is amazing because we would get quite a few people that would come in to the shop, and they'd say, well, I need another remote. Okay, they hand it to you, and you say, well, I can give you this one, or this is a universal one, and then they normally would be like, well, is it going to be programmed? And it's like, no, it's not going to be programmed. And sometimes they come in and they're elderly people, or sometimes you just know how when you ever look at somebody in the eyes and you go, I don't even think they know what a wrench is. I think they barely know how to use a fork. And so that's where the Marantech came in really nice that you could program them like that. I'm surprised LiftMaster hasn't came out with something similar or better. But I wish they would because I would love that I could pull a remote off the shelf, connect them together, push the buttons, learn, and then I go, here you go, Mr. Customer or Mrs. Customer. It's going to be $45 and you're all set. You should be all set. Go home, try it. If it don't work or something, bring it back. I'll try again. Make sure you bring back the one that works. And away you go. You know what I mean? But the problem is with remotes, why I do not like remotes is that typically they come in and so they're trying to save money, right? They came in, which is totally understandable. I mean, like me going to pick up a car battery today, right? I don't, I'm trying to save some money. Now they give me a car battery and they go, oh, well, you got to program it to your car. And I go, oh, well, how much is that for you guys to come out? Well, you just spent $150 with us. It's $200 for us to come out. And I go, can't I just buy the remote or buy the battery? You know what I mean? So just something the remotes, 'cause by the time you do, I mean, when you do even a service call back in the day, our very early service calls, you got what is it? Let's do it right here. You got whoops, did it wrong. You got $110. So if you do a remote for $45, you sell it for, which I don't recommend. You probably more in the 50 or 60, and you do it for a $65 service call. It's $110. $110. Holy crap! You're halfway to a new opener. And so let's just say if we do it for our normal, we'll do 140 plus, we'll do 50 to be nice. You're at 190. So 140 for a service call, $50 for the remote. You're at $190. And you can go buy an opener that's got 2 remotes, sometimes an outside keypad, and the opener for $210. So it's just kind of one of those things that boggles my brain where I wish remotes were more universal, I guess, where you could lock them in and you could just sell them out the door and the customers would be good to go. Because they can be a little bit challenging for some, not always, not all of them. There we go. So that's awesome. At least you got a close one, Rusty. I'm glad about that. Perfect. All right. And we got 3 likes. Dang, man. Living the dream. Rusty's got Marantech are the only one of least favorite to work on. Were they Canadian? Were they Canadian? No, Canadian. They were what it was is like for me, we when we went to the IDA show quite a few years back, and they ended up Marantech ended up giving me they sent me 2, and I tried one out because I was really nervous about it. So I tried it out at an old house, and actually, to my surprise, it worked pretty good. The programming was a little bit it's cumbersome, right? It's definitely a learning curve. Definitely on me. I'm sure anybody else could be snap right through it. But I'll be darned, that little booger unplugged it. We had storms, power outages. I left it unplugged for like a year. I come back and I never, ever could get that darn thing to miss a beat. It never lost its limits, never glitched out. The worst part was I was told this, though. They told me it's their cheaper model and the light is pretty dim on it. I think there was an accessory to put another light on it because it's like an LED. It was super dim. It was also a slow moving opener, but that was part of it's a cost. I mean, they got better ones. I think it was Bryce. I don't know if Bryce still ever follows the channel. But he was the one. I think that was his name, Bryce. Cool dude. And so then, but the remotes were good. The keypad worked good. So then I did something silly. I had the other one. And since I believed in it, but I wanted to do it for somebody that I knew through a friend of a friend, I installed one, but it was a little bit far away. I was a little bit nervous. Luckily, it almost came back to bit me because it was an hour and 15 minutes one way. I installed it on a little shed. It was something that got built, just to carry, just to park like motorcycles in. And probably about 6 months, maybe a year and a half later, got that call, right? Hey, that opener's not working. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? There's no man door on this thing. There's a window that's got bars on it. Come to find out, gave it a little bit of time, said, okay, well, let me see when we're going to be in this, out in that area in the schedule and stuff. Come to find out, there was a GFI breaker that little shed was plugged into up to the house that popped. That's what caused the problem. So it was like, whoosh, saved me a service call going out there, to find out there's no power. How devastating would that be? So that's just another example. There's so many variables, even if it's not your fault or in your control or in your wheelhouse, you want to stay close. That's why I just cannot stress enough. If you're going to go far away, you better charge triple. You know what I mean? It better be triple because you just don't know what you're going to run into. You get out there, and especially you got to have those pictures. You got to have those pictures. So you're already priming the pump. You've already talked over the phone. They're aware that, this could be a 5 to a $2.2 billion job. You know what I mean? And they say, that's fine. I just want you to fix it. But even when you leave time in there, time is your enemy, right? You could start driving out there, and I've had it happen, right? Oh, hey, you know what? Somebody called me back. Your competition. Yeah. What's going on? Well, you got a $140 service call. There's a 65, and they said they could be here in 10 minutes, and you're still going to be what, 45 minutes? Yes. I mean, that's where, like I said, if it's just down the road, you know what? I'm going to grab me a coffee or whatever, and I'm going to turn around. At least it's not too much gas and too much wear and tear. Just things I think about. Brand Tech worked pretty good. I don't have really too much bad to say. They're just a learning curve. I was always scared. I think the guys would revolt on it, honestly, for programming. And I worry about if it did glitch out in the field, diagnosing, things like that. But I can't say nothing bad. I can't say, oh, absolutely not. It's just sometimes when you got employees and everything, it's a juggle. You're juggling a lot. It ain't just you. If it was just me, I'd probably do it. I'd learn them. I'd install them. They work pretty darn good. And I love the fact that the remotes, you can link up and, you could give them to customers, and they work pretty good. They had a C channel, kind of like a Genie, reminded me of a Genie. Rusty, I think they were German. I don't know for sure. I feel like I want to lean towards German too, but I don't remember for who did it. Evan's in the house. Evan, hope you're doing good. I'm just jumping on here for a few because I gotta go and possibly move some snow. We'll see. Must have been Sommer. He says, I'm thinking of the Sommer. Is it Sommer? Sommer. I don't know about the Sommers that much. I seen them. I mean, they had at the show, whatever, right? The whole head unit. And I'm thinking, why would you do that? I'm like, that just seems silly to me. I mean, some people really swear by them. To me, that does not impress me to see the whole head unit, the motor and everything's what runs up and down. All I see is collision, damage. I see a piana, whatever, right? A kid with a baseball bat going, oh, look at that little rabbit going back and forth to that squirrel. Whack, beat that thing. That's what it looks like to me. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen some of the videos, obviously kids hanging onto a garage door going up, right? So I don't know. It looked silly to me. I don't see the benefit. Like that's like saying, well, I use square tires on my vehicle because they get better traction in the mud. You know what I mean? And I go, okay. What about like on the road? It's really shaky, but it's okay. But I get good traction in the mud. Oh, okay. I have yet to find a Marantec up here. Yeah, that's a good point. To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen one besides the two that I installed up in our area. I don't think I've ever tore out one. I think they're kind of I don't know where they're real prevalent at, honestly. I don't hear anybody ever really talk about them. But I think they're pretty solid for the most part. I think, I was talking to Cap. I think Cap was saying something about the Marantec has got kind of a semi-medium duty commercial-ish jack shaft opener, a direct couple. And so we were talking about, I just mentioned it again about a couple days ago, I think, about trying one. Until Rusty lets me know about the Genie that's out there, besides going to Overhead and buying RSX or the HZ or whatever that's called, the RZH or something. What do we got here, Evan? Evan, is there a reason LiftMaster don't make 1 1/4 residential? It says 1 1/4 residential unit, but Chamberlain does. I don't think I quite understand what the 1 1/4 is. What is residential unit? But Chamberlain, are you talking the horsepower, Evan? Is that what you're talking about? Like the horsepower on it or something? Motor? Rusty, let's see, Rusty until Evan responds. Had a 4 p.m. call yesterday. I'll wait for Rusty. Sure, I see jumped in Evan's guy. He says, "Yeah, I was talking about horsepower. Yeah, I didn't. I don't know. I am not a big. The only time I get big on horsepower is in here's the thing. There's really to me, this is just me. I'm going to go on left field here. You know what I mean? But I always look at like these openers and I go, they're not like a car, or a pick 'em up truck where I can actually drive it, right? And I put a trailer behind me and I go, damn, I go, this thing's got some torque, this thing's got some power. This is way better than my other truck or other vehicle. So, to me, it's like they could be snowballing you. Like, who was telling me something? Like, I thought that was almost like they use the same motor. Somebody was mentioning one time, like is it the third horsepower to the half horsepower? It was just something. I thought there was some little difference, and that was it. It seemed like it was still like the same motor or something. I can't remember. And I was like, really? Because I was kind of on that fence too, where it was like, well, if it's a non-insulated door, I mean, we saved $12 or $20 or whatever it was on an opener. We could do the third horsepower. You know what I mean? And at the time, realistically, what I was doing, it was like really it was for the customer, right? To save them a few dollars. It wasn't like me making better profit. So it was kind of silly, right? And then you gotta, you know what I mean? You're always playing this. You start playing this juggling game, especially when you start getting inventory, right? When you start getting inventory, like me, probably like Evan, you'll start running out of garage space. You'll start running out of shed space. You'll run out of a storage unit place. You'll run out of an enclosed trailer space because you got this stuff you paid money for. Now you don't know what the hell to do with it. You're like, oh no. So to me, it's like, I'd rather stick with something that's just like, this is universal pretty much across the board. The only time I got into like 3/4 horsepowers is normally they got a stiffer rail. If I want a bigger, like an I rail or something like that on those LiftMasters. And like wood doors scare me. Older wood doors. Sometimes, they're monsters, they're this, you just know when you've been out in the field enough where you lift up a door and you're just like, whoa, like this door is like, it's balanced, but it's a lugger, man. So that's the only time I get into big, like 3/4 horse or whatever. I think it's a sales gimmick, honestly, probably being a 1 1/4 horse. It just makes, cause I've come across customers and I'm sure you guys have too, where you will, where you just get that old boy, right? And he goes, yeah, I've been watching this thing. He goes, needs a bigger motor. And you're like, yeah, it don't need a bigger motor. It's like the spring is broke, you know? Well, I want a bigger motor. I mean, he is so programmed that he worked in that mechanic shop and he knows the dozers that he used to work on, and the one has the cat and one has the international. It needs the cat, and it's like, that's not the case, sir. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, it's fairy tale. Rusty said I had a 4 p.m. call yesterday. Oh, I call those the 5 o'clock on a Friday. And, township building broke cable. He says, got it fixed and suggested a preventative maintenance program. Told him 300 to 400 to go over 3 commercial doors. Said, there you go. Bam. Said they will do it. Perfect, man. I'm telling you. There's something to do with those subscriptions. There's something to do with those preventative maintenance. And hopefully, because what was this? It was township broken cable right there. Exactly. Bada bing, bada boom. Exactly. Broken cable. If you would have inspected it every 6 or a yearly, you probably would have caught that cable. You know what I mean? And it would save you from 5 o'clock on a Friday because they get really, really old. One company that we used to, this company was so bad. His name was Red Dog. That's what he'd call himself, Red Dog. He'd call me up. He'd be like, hey, Dave. He's like, it's Red Dog. And I'm like, what's up? His name was Roger. I'm like, what's up, Roger? And he's like, yeah, it's Friday. And it's always right around about 3 o'clock, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there. Normally 3 o'clock though. Yeah, they broke another door. It's the washout something, blah, blah, blah. Can you come over? Oh my gosh. Dude, I was planning on going camping. And then once we put them on a preventative maintenance program, it's like they all went away, Kevin's in the house. Kevin, cheers. We are sporting the affordable door and gate. I don't think these do so good. You know what I mean? Like for advertisement, it doesn't hurt. But I don't remember like going to somebody's house. They'd be like, "I got your cup." So I was thinking about you. They're probably all like changing oil with it into their car. We've installed about half dozen commercial Marantech jack shaft in last year. Don't waste your time. With them. He says already replaced one with a maximum. Really interesting. Kevin? Can you tell me any details on them? Are they like a circuit board? Is the motors puking out? They're not strong enough. I'm assuming they're direct couple, right? That you're doing. Installed about half a dozen. The jack shafts. Already replaced. Man, that's nuts. That's nuts. Like I said, man, come on, Rusty. Come on. It's like I don't know how to really say it, right? I want to prove you wrong. I mean, I don't. I want you to be like, here it is, Dave. But I don't believe you. I don't believe you that there's a genie out there, a direct couple genie. Don't believe it. If there is, please let me know. I am so I really, really, we've had such great luck with the Genie commercial openers. I cannot even tell you. We install them, we don't go back. As long as you don't modify them like I did. And they were great, you know. But I mean, we've had one circuit board that between me and Cap out of whatever we've been doing it now. I think we've been installing for 8-10 years. Not bad. Not bad. Now LiftMaster, somewhere in these many, you know, I've done, you know what I mean? Maybe a little more. 14 by 9. What it says, stuck part way open. Oh, no, what? No concrete. Got door re-leveled and reset drums. Changed both cables. Added angle to bottom brackets. It's been hit. Guy said it never worked so good in 10 years. Wow. Got it for $1,000 and some change. That's really throwing me. What's this say? Is it no concrete? What's up with no concrete? Just an outbuilding or something? They like keep a loader or something in that thing? Is it, what is that? Is that raw? It looks like Paul, but it's with an R. Is that right? It looks, yeah, your little icon there. So is it raw? I'm sorry if I butcher it. We'll call you RC. Do you recommend investing in Surewinder or something similar? Sure. Depends. I wouldn't hesitate if you got to remember with the Surewinder. Oh, it's too bad, Papa Tony. He gave you the whole sales pitch. I love Papa Tony. But anyways, they got the Surewinder, which is kind of more your residential, and then they got the Brute Winder, which I didn't know. The Brute Winder is more for your commercial style doors, you know. So but man, I tell you what, if you got something, you got to knock out 3 of the same doors, let's say like 12 by 12s or 10 by 10s or whatever, or you're going to do a commercial job, 14 by 14 with high lift and bigger stuff. That's where that puppy shines, you know, because when you kind of do a one-off, you can get away with it, you know, resi here or something. Maybe you don't want to pull it out, set it up. I'm just going to wind it. I worked on that 4-spring job, and it was like, I got the spring turner. That's another option, but I have to agree from what I can kind of see. The Surewinder does look more refined, and it doesn't seem like there's enough of a price difference, if any, to warrant the spring turner. So I would definitely, you know, I wouldn't mind it. It's going to save your shoulders. I've known a few guys that their shoulders, the rotator cup, I think is what the one is goes out. And I know for me, when I started noticing it, I think what it was, I had to start sleeping with my head or with my arms behind my head, and I couldn't figure out why. And I never really noticed like a lot of pain, but I just noticed I was gravitating all the time, and I don't do that anymore. So yeah, I would definitely agree. It'll save you. And especially if you're going to stay in it, it's probably a good investment. It's nice. It's smooth. There's a lot of Kevin says, here's this. Do you recommend? But yeah, like it's a lot of people don't think about it's because it's like that prep work, right? But there's a lot that goes when you just do that few minutes of prep work for them. Even the spring turner was it was like a learning curve for me. But once you kind of get it down, it's like, this is pretty nice, especially when I was on a scissor lift and I just kept cruising down the doors. Like I said, I knocked out 3 doors. So it was at 2, 4, 6, at 6 springs total. Those were like 2 and 5/8, I think, ID. And I realized when I got to the third one, I'm sitting there going, and I mean, it was super hot out there, especially when you're on top of a building, you're cooking, and I was sitting there just like, holy crap. Like, I'm not even breaking a sweat. I'm not sitting here by the third spring. If I was up there doing it myself or the 6th spring, I'd have been like, I just sat there with the gun. And I already knew one door, how to get it perfect. Next door was even easier. The third door was a real breeze. But they're a little pricey, That's why it's kind of like we don't, and even the one I got, the guys don't seem to use it. So it's kind of one of those things where, I'd hate to have it on their truck. It falls out for some reason, falls out or whatever, gets put in the scrap hopper or something. I don't know. People do weird things. And it's like, dude, where's your thing? It's like, oh, what, that $1,500, $2,000 item? Yeah, that thing, oh, it's not been in my truck for, 6 months. Yeah. Evan says, Raw says, if you're just starting out, I'd stick with whiny bars. Yeah, like I said, if you're just starting out, it's definitely not a must. I mean, I've been, I don't know, I've probably been doing it. Well, I've been doing it. I don't think I've only had the spring turner. You have to look at the video. I think I only did it about a year ago. So I was doing it. I've done it for 17 years without one. And, but I think looking back, I would have invested into it a little bit sooner. It's not a must though. And it's, it's not like I'm going to impress my customers with it or something. I don't see nothing like that. It's just more or less to save your body, your rotator cuff, the residential don't seem to ever really bother me. Those are so easy. You know what I mean? But when you get to that 2 and 5/8 or, 3-inch or bigger, or, when you get up to, the 6-inch springs, that's when it's the, and you're doing the 2 arms and you got to grab another bar and let it rest. But there's things you got to do because if there's foam back there, you got to put a board, you got to get a pad or something. So it's, but if, like I said, if you're at a job and you're doing 2 or 3 doors that are the same, yeah, I would definitely, I'd want it. But take that money and try to invest in like your, whatever you got to do, power tools and nicer, ladder to fit in your vehicle if you need it to, or all that good stuff. He says circuit board. They seem to be more finicky. Than LiftMaster. You have a separate programming control that you take with you after you set it up. Yeah. So I do remember with the Marantec, I do remember they gave it almost like, I don't even know exactly. It was like you could sit from the ground and they gave you like a tether you could plug into the opener. So it was almost like you could just do it from the ground. And it's got some weird goofy stuff, and that sounds about right. And that makes me a little bit, that would make me a little bit nervous because if you send a technician out there, see, like I'm always like, especially like when you're in, when you're in your community, I don't know about you guys, maybe you guys never do this. I'm the only one, but for me, like for gate operators, right? We always have a spare key that we put somewhere. Because it just seems like it never fails. Like I'll be like at the park, or I'll be down by the lakeshore or something. Right. And we get this phone call or I get a text or something through a secretary or one of the workers or whatever. And they're like, hey, that gate's not right. Or it happens on Friday. And it's like, it's just on that little bit on the outskirt of town or something. And it's like, you know what? It's like, I'm actually going out that way for groceries, or I'm going out that way for picking up a part or something. I think I'll just swing by there the next day. And it never fails, right? That sometimes maybe you're like, oh, things change. You're going to bring a couple kids or a family member, or you're just driving the personal vehicle because you need a flatbed truck or whatever. And you get out there and the last thing you want is like, oh my gosh, like I can't control this thing, or I can't even get into this thing. So that tether, that makes me where, like, at least if you're there, right? Maybe you don't have the parts or something, but you can at least operate it or play with it and go, yeah, I've seen this before. It's doing the certain code, or it's not running, or it's not moving. But gate operators, like for one, if you're locked out, well, you're looking at a box. Good luck. There ain't much you can do with it unless it got hit, and you can look at the gate. An opener, same thing. If it's got a tether and you don't got the tether, or the maintenance guy, right? Because sometimes I've had that happen. I got a maintenance guy, and it's like, dude, we're driving up to the casino right now. It's like, do you see what it's showing? Can you send me a little video? Yeah. Okay. Well, right now, just hit this. It's in program right now. Yep. Just get it to move. Actually, I think I got it. Okay, you're good. But I couldn't imagine saying, well, I got your tether. It's kind of like that whole right to repair thing, kind of like with the cars. It's like, come on now, let's be serious, right? These more modern cars, now that they give you these big old screens now, right, in the center for your computer, or not for, well, it's a computer, but it's for your radio and all that kind of stuff and navigation. Hello. You mean to tell me they can't just put a diagnosing screen on there that could tell you exactly how everything's functioning in your car? Here's the air pressure. Here's the transmission temp. Here's the atmosphere outside. Here's the cameras all the way around. Your car's got a code of a PF something. Here's how to diagnose it. Here's how to repair it. Here's how to blah blah. Here's maybe a local shop that's good for or whatever. But at least to give you the data versus you got to buy a separate scanner. And then if you can't even have, like, typically you can't even get the big dog scanner, which is the dealership, but to do certain clears or to clear out certain codes, right? Because you're not smart enough, right? You're not an adult. You're a child. Yes, you don't know how to do nothing, so they have to control everything. So that's what concerned me, where if I was a maintenance guy, I'd be ticked if somebody put something on my property that I'm like, what do you mean I don't got the key to open this thing up and hit the disconnect or the release? That'd be like welding the J arm, on those disconnects, right? Which I'm always surprised that the commercial ones are the way they are, because you ever have those commercial ones, you could pop them a certain way, and that J arm, bam! I've seen a guy, he lost a tooth, it smacked on a maintenance guy. I'm surprised, we can't have the 3 terminals on the side of the opener, because that's too dangerous, supposedly, for an outside receiver. No, you know what it is, because they want you to use their stuff, but they put a J arm that could do that. If you hit it wrong, right, that thing comes swinging down, it'll take out your eye, Evan says circuit board. This is my trailblazers. It gives me some of that data on the radio touchscreen. Nice. Kevin says that makes no sense. He says I need to get a ladder out to exactly and plug it into heads so I can program from ground. Not sure why it wouldn't be diagnosed or plugged to the wall station. Exactly. Good. I love it, Kevin. I love it. That's the truth of it. It's kind of like was it the Horman, right? I mean, somebody still hasn't told me you're way wrong on this, but like those Horman residential garage door openers, we had one, right? And of course, it was too far away, but I was up there to be hero, right? I think it was on the way with another job or something. And I was like, I'll stop by and take a look at it. And this lady, right, I get the whole sobbing story, my husband left me. I'm, this or this and that. I'm on fixed income or something, blah, 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 blah. Right. And I'm like, yeah. Well, I got bald tires on my truck. Do you really care about that? And I got only a quarter tank of gas, you know what I mean? And I got to get home, for dinner, and I got to get breakfast, or not breakfast, but I got to get food on the table. But anyways, I'm getting the story, right? And somehow I made it work, but she had a Horman opener. And I remember I'm like pulling the disconnect, like just to get her by. Like she can't get her car out, it's trapped. I'm thinking, pulling the disconnect. I'm like, what is going on? And it's like, I'm to that point where it's like, I'm not going to just reef on it because I don't want to break it. And I go up there, there's like a green button. So I have to push the green button, then the disconnect works. And I mean, I'm just sitting there going, I played with it for 10 minutes. Like, am I missing something? Like, now what the hell is the point of the cord if I got to get up on a ladder to push the button? Like, I guess, tell a lady, say, well, get yourself a broom. That's a safety. So you can, you got to push the button and then pull down on it. And I just went, this is acidine. This is so stupid. I said, So I think I screwed something in there so it stayed locked in because then it was like it went something broke on it. And I was just like, I'm over this. I was just like, you really just need, and that's where I have to draw that line where I'm like, you need a whole new opener. Like, we can't repair this because I'm not warranting this. I'm not coming up here for this kind of stupid problem or have you call me 6 months or a year later saying, our power went out and I can't get my car out. It doesn't work that way, lady. We can't do that. We can't do that. You need a man. You need a man in your life. So I can explain to man, you get wrench and you take this bolt out and it work. But yeah, that's the same thing. I love it, Kevin. Got to get up a ladder, put it on. So then why don't we just leave it up there or put it in the circuit board up there or on the back of the unit? I mean, that is it's like they almost give it to you, and then it's like the rest of them you can buy, you can save $12 on because you don't need the tether or the circuit board thing. Or, well, think of it this way. Now nobody can mess with it except for you. And I go, I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't like my 5 o'clocks on a Friday, man. I don't like being disrupted, Kind of looks like the new LiftMaster Maxima is tether is the ICD control station. I think you're right, Evan. I believe you're right with that. I think they're kind of more doing their thing down below. You got to have a certain code. It's on the back of it or something on that control board or whatever. So there's things like that, I still have not gotten on board, like I said, with the Maximum because like I said, they're more costly for us. And I just have not seen the benefit besides maybe a soft start, soft close type of situation or something, I don't even know if they're direct coupling them, honestly. So maybe they are, maybe that's one benefit, but I don't know. I don't want to be a guinea pig right now. What's up, Rich B? Got the popcorn in the house? Hook me up, man. Yeah, kind of the same thing. So, right. Evan's guy, he says, from what I can see, the installer sets the 6-digit code. Probably. Whoa, chill. I don't know. It just sounds too complicated. Too complicated for me. I don't want to mess with it. Not yet. Like I said, let's let them sit out for a while. I mean, everything that comes out now, I sit there and just really take it with a grain of salt. I'm just like, it's so hard too, because there's stuff that you see that's new and flashy, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm good. It's just too many companies now have just burned the bridges, especially with me and what I know nowadays. That I just go, nope, I'm good. I'd rather I'd rather have something that's got, 5 or 10 years on it, that's got homework and data. And nowadays is great, right? You don't even get snowballed that bad now. Now you got it right here with the telephone. You can look you can see the information. People got videos, the good, the bad, the common problems. Even me, looking at it like a new truck. It's like, I'm just going, it's got the push to stop feature and people are putting zip ties in it. And it's like, should I really have to be bothered with that? Or they're talking about the roof line is the paint is the only thing it keeps. So some of them are cracking a little bit and then water's getting in the headliner. It's like, ooh, on a 40, 60, $80,000 vehicle. Oh man, that's the best we can do. Come on. All right. What is it? What time is it? 1? We'll go about 1:15 or so. Yakky yak and all that good stuff. I'm going to see if I can go help out the scrap metal guy because we got snowed in. I don't know if I gotta get stuff together too still. Today kind of got thrown up in the air with a vehicle repair now. But ended up going with the cheapest one. And from what old Scotty says, he said another one recently, but he said the old Walmart. And I have to agree. I got a fresh battery. And you know what? It's got a 3-year warranty on it, $140 and a couple change. And away she goes. Better than that Duralast. I don't think that Duralast lasted over, I don't think it's even 3 years old yet. The Duralast went down. Duralast, I think, is AutoZone. Must have got it from AutoZone last time. I always remember when I was a young mechanic, we used to see it was like seemed like 5 years, right around 5 years on a brand new vehicle. But nowadays it's more like 3 to 4, these batteries. I always knew when you changed them, maybe it was we could get 5 to 6 or 8. I can't remember. I can't remember if we got to 8, 5 to 6. There was always kind of a range with a new vehicle. Then it's like the factory one was always best. Everything's fresh too. So that's something to take consideration. But then you get the next one, it's going to be, you got to shave off a couple years because it's just not as good, or the, alternator, everything else isn't working as good as it used to, and stuff's drawing more. Kevin says Evan's code is the same, 326. But I'm assuming you could change it, right? That's kind of like how our keypads are for gate operators. They got a master code, but you could go in and you could change it if you wanted to and be that type of person and make somebody's life a real bear, which I'm not a fan of. Kevin, I don't know where I heard a 6-digit code. He says, I'm just a resi guy. That's okay. I still haven't got my hands. I thought, well, maybe I still will. I think Josh is talking more a little bit in the spring. He might have a job. Maybe he'll do some maximals. Get to play around with them a little bit. Kevin, since you're here, Kevin, are the maximums, are they direct couple, or is it still a chain? Everything's chain, not a direct couple, right? You don't do that with the maximum. I should look it up. Kevin says this. Rich says pioneers take the arrow, settlers take the land. Pioneers take the arrow. It says settlers take the land. I want to see if at least Kevin, though, before we jump off, Kevin's got if those things are direct couple, or he can do it, or if those things are still chain driven. Kevin says, yeah, I haven't seen a way to change it. I installed maybe 30. That's quite a few. But I haven't explored the advanced programming that much. I mean, to me, that's kind of part of the benefit a little bit, because you know how sometimes you just get in those weird, like we've had a few commercial customers, especially with gate operators that I mean, one guy I had to tell him, he's a super cool dude, but they'd always monkey with it, and then they'd call, and a lot of times it would fail after hours or on the weekend, right? And I told him, I said, look, dude, I said, my phone is, typically always on me. I said, I'm always, checking text or whatever. I said, just text me. Whoa, I said, no. I said, you will be doing me a favor. I said, because I said, you don't know where I'm at. I said, depending on what sports or if I'm working after hours. I mean, I'm all over the place, right? I'm not a very, too much of a 9 to 5 guy. I mean, it could be 3 a.m. and I'm out at the shop doing something, I mean, I'm all over the place. So at least, and that's why my phone's always on silent. Cause like I tell them, I always say, look, you're not going to wake me up. Just shoot me a text. And I said, and as soon as I see it, I'll reply if I can or whatever. And I said, hey, I'll come out there. Cause otherwise we get out there, they push something, the gate's working again. I show up. It's like, I open the cabinet and it's like, God dang it. It's like, well, what was wrong? I don't know what was lit. I don't know where it stopped, to stop partially, to stop all the way. So sometimes you just want people to, like, I wanted to, lock it up. So say, hey, don't touch it. No touchy. Okay. So it's chain, multiple sprocket size based on the drum size. That's silly. That's so silly. And it's a DC motor. So why couldn't you, wouldn't they seem like they're easier to, like, if you wanted to try to direct couple it? Because I'm assuming it's still got the shaft, and then you got where your sprocket, right? And was it just a gear head, right? The gear, and then a DC motor. The old wheels are turning. Wheels are turning. I wonder if it'd freak out if he's stuck it on a shaft. Because I am not a fan. Not a fan. Where's that? I don't see it. Not a fan of chain and sprockets. Hate chain and sprockets. Hate it. I hate it. Do not like it. I don't believe in it, especially if you got the room and you can do it. Like I said, it was an eye opener to me. It was like the heavens have opened when I went to my buddy's place when he used to work there. He worked for ABC Roofing. Big door, whatever, 16 foot wide, 14 tall, right? And I'm like walking in, you know how like you walk into an office and you walk through, like it's got those flappy doors, those cat killer doors. And I walked in and he's like walking in front of me and he's like, yeah, man. He's like, look, he's like, it's got a broken spring. And it was like, as soon as my eyes started going up, I was like, holy crap, those are big, like 6-inch springs. He's like, yeah, but he's like, watch this. It still works. And in like slow motion in my head, I'm like, no, don't do it. No. And I'm just waiting to hear the opener go. And I'd be like, stop it. You know, and he just hit it and the door went, woo, and it went up and it did its thing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Am I being punked right now? I'm like, where's the cameras? I'm like, how is this door doing this? I'm like, this is impossible. And he goes to bring it back down, and it's like I'm like about up to him now, where it's like I'm in that like mode to just kind of like slap him, you know, push him in the face. Get out of the way, you know, hit the stop button, otherwise you're gonna throw the cables. And it just stopped on its own. And I was just like, how did this door just go up and down with no clunky clunks? And it worked just flawlessly. How does this happen? You know, and I remember I got the scissor lift out, you know, measure spring stuff, and I get up there and I'm like, it's an overhead. It's an RSX. I'm like, it's direct coupled. So all the stuff is like put together in a box. So nothing can jump or, you know, it's just going to break is all it's going to happen. If something's going to go, it's going to break or a clutch is going to slip, but it's all internally. And then they blew a hole through the I-beam, right? That's how much they believe in it. It's like they blew a hole in the I-beam to run through with their solid shaft. And I'm like, dude, this is the way to do it. I'm like, the red ribbon has got it, but us so-called peasants, I'm like, we don't get it, but the higher ups get it. And Genie makes it, but we make it for the elite. Not you petty people. Not you little garage door people. No, you deal with chain and sprockets and lost limits, huh? Oh, good for you. Yeah, good for you. Yeah, you'll get more work, don't you? Broken. And I'm like, oh, like I don't want cables thrown off and all that crap. That's a nightmare for me. So that's a bummer. Marantech sounds like might not be the one. Kevin says, yeah, scene 30 says Kevin chain, multiple sprocket size based on drums. Evan Scott, how long do commercial units normally last? Seen one of a car wash replace their MT units. The MTs are not very durable, in my opinion. You know, those are pretty underpowered depending on the situation. I don't know. You know, the commercial ones is the newer ones. I mean, the old ones, we still got a road commission that's running 30-plus-year-old openers, and they're nothing gearheaded or anything. They're just almost kind of like a J50 LiftMaster, just running away. Typically, what goes wrong is something not circuit board, because they're like relay logic. Something will get to the point where it's like we can't get parts, or we can't figure out like something really kind of grenaded in it. We've replaced transformers in them before, and those things just keep chugging along. You know, with especially being like DPWs, you know, with salt trucks coming in and out, and it's not drive through. So I mean, they're going in, they're backing out. They're going in, they're backing out. They just keep running. So I don't know. The new ones, depends on how much you're using it, the conditions, you know, if it's got salt in the air, if it's moisture, bird crap, everything else, you know, somewhere 8, 15 years, I don't think they're going to make them more than 20 years. Some of these units, depending if they're lightly used, maybe. But they're kind of one of those things you're better off going a little overkill, it seems like, than dealing with like the MJ or the MT. I won't even mess with those things. It's kind of like with the Genie line too. Go with the top of whatever the commercial line is, because those middle ones are junk with their fuses and stuff. Da-da, 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 da-da. Kevin's got depends on conditions and uses. We still see plenty of mechanical units. Yep, that are 40 plus years. Think circuit boards, yeah, 10 to 15. Yep, sounds about right. The boards are obsolete and just to replace. Yeah, that's kind of does seem like the situation. I would totally agree with Kevin, on that. Like I said, it doesn't seem like the new ones are going to last as long. They got too much stuff going on with them. Plus, I mean, some of the new ones, you think about, you got photo eyes involved with them too. So you got photo eye problems. Sometimes they have to replace or something, it's not satisfied of some kind of safety. Where the old ones, like some of the old ones they got those Omrons photo eyes. Those are pretty bulletproof. Those yellow ones with the reflector. And then they got the old 30 plus unit, your unit that's up there just chugging away, baby, and luckily they did some of them right. They do high cycle springs, which is why when they do blow, you normally need two men and a midget, is what I say, because they're just the wire size is like the size of your thumb, 6-inch springs, and they're just super long. They're like 6 foot tall. It's monsters to do. You got to wear one of those uniforms, that because you're going to have the rings on you. You guys know what that's like, right? When you're putting springs on your shoulder, the rings. We should call those something. We should call them like the glory rings or something out. Well, maybe not. I don't know. We should call them the springs of something, the rings of heaven. I don't know. I just know sometimes, man, you got to like bear hug those things. You're just like, you're working on somebody else trying to yank it out of a shaft. Oh, it's a lot of work. But yeah, a lot of the new stuff, unfortunately, has got just seems like it's not going to last as long. Circuit boards, all that good stuff. That gearhead I did, I thought, I'll put a gearhead in here because he just said, do what you would do. And I'm like, I'm gonna put another gearhead in there. Put another gearhead. I don't even know. It lasted maybe a year and a half, right? And calls me. He's like, that new opener you installed, it quit working. I'm like, that's impossible. Like, I gave you a gearheaded LiftMaster. There's no way. Like, that thing you should say, it turned my garage door into a crushed pop can. You know what I mean? That's what I should be hearing, not my opener quit work. And I go back there, get up on a sketchy ladder because I'm there and I didn't want to go get a scissor lift. And then, I turn into, I call tech support because I'm not figuring out what's going on. It's blinking at me. It's doing weird stuff. And they're like, we think it needs a circuit board. I'm like, a circuit board? I'm like, the opener that was up here was 30 plus years old. And I'm like, and this one's, now I got to tell this customer that we're going to have to charge him another, $100, $200, $400, $600 for circuit boards. He's not going to be happy, and, yeah. So we at least charge labor and all that jazz. Maybe I got it covered, but LiftMaster, that stuff right there is what really ticks me off when I'm not committed to anybody. I don't know if Genie's doing it. Genie still might, but I can't remember for sure. But LiftMaster, absolutely not. They go, they tell you, they go, you can send it in. And if we deem it's bad, we will send you out a new one. And I'm like, or you can purchase one and then we'll credit you or something. I ain't got time for that crap. You know what I mean? Like, nobody ever checks on that stuff. As far as I'm concerned with the technology nowadays, if I take a video of it and give you a serial number and say, I'm here, and you say, well, do this and do this and do this and do this, and you wasted my time, and we deem it's a bad circuit board for my inconvenience for the customers, God darn it, for what the cost of this stuff is, you should just send one out free of charge. Not a problem. I don't know if you got to quite next day air it. That'd be great. Maybe we could pay for I wouldn't mind paying for the next day air if that was the case. I understand that, you know what I mean? But otherwise it's going to be 2 to 3 business days. We'll send one out, and go that way. Maybe we can get like, if we get Amazon on board, right? They can just bring one out to you in like 2 or 3 hours, right? They'll have the drone. I think they can bring it to you a circuit board. Think about it, man. You're living in some good times. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy when you can start. I'm going to get me one, right? So when the technicians are like, I forgot my wrench. I'm like, not a problem. You keep your happy butt right there. Wait till it gets right about the head area, drop it. There. You'll think about this next time. Hits him in the head. Ow. Don't lose the next one. It's coming, baby. It's coming. I mean, I would assume eventually we're just going to be able to probably look on Google, how Google, like when you zoom in so much on Google Earth and they don't let you go so far, but yet you can see quite a bit, you're like, dang, I can see my hot tub. I can see this. I can see that. I can see this. And eventually they'll just give you more access or you have to pay a premium subscription. They'll just do a background check on you or something, probably like that. And, and you can just really, you could see a dime on the ground, and it'll be live. So you can just sit there and be like, they haven't gone to their van in quite a bit of while. Oh my gosh, there's a guy laying on the ground. I think he's dead. No, he's taking a nap. There you go. I like it. I like it. Cousin Evan's guy. He says springs of power. Ooh, that's cool. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Evan's guy says, is there a reason you only what does it says? See airlift operators in automatic car wash environments? Yeah, Kevin says they can handle the elements better. And I'm assuming Kevin's worked on them too, as I have. I really think the best setup, um, to be honest, is when they got a mechanical room in the middle, and what they'll normally do is they'll bore a hole through the concrete wall into that mechanical room, and then they put let's say like a J50 lift master in there. I really think that's the best way to go, honestly. Or if they want to do a trolley, it's got to be the car wash one, right? The one that's got the better sealed unit. The air stuff, I mean, I get it when it's new, the stuff seems to work, but in my opinion, and like I said, I haven't done a ton where I'd be like, I'm an expert, but I've worked on enough. They are very fidgety, they leak. So for like, this is for you, Evan, and this is for the new guys, right? That are ever stay away from the car wash. I'll give you a little background on some. I've done multiple car washes, and so the car wash ones, at least the ones I've always worked at, they typically, they don't want you to shut the unit down. So you're typically always doing after hours or weekends. That's it. And sometimes some of their stuff gets to be such catastrophic in there. So the one I used to work for that had the jack shaft in the mechanical, like the bearings were all going bad. So there was a certain way I had to take things apart. I could never, I had to wind the springs totally. I couldn't even undo the set screws on the shafts. So I'd have to leave them on the shaft. I can't remember how I did it, but it would take me all of 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 4 hours to do what I had to do to get bearings on it. And I'd go out there with guys because some guys wanted to get some overtime or something, or I just needed help. And I remember the one guy I went with, and he was like, "Oh, he's like, this takes you 3 hours." He's like, I'm like, dude, like you don't understand. Like, I mean, you can't just. It ain't like breaking the set screw and rewind the springs. Like we have to do stuff totally opposite. So everything's corroded. The one guy I worked for, I mean, anytime I was like, this thing really needs a section. Well, can we through bolt it? There's just a lot of nuances. The air stuff, very sensitive. I remember I got one, I thought I had it right, but then he'd send me a video and the door was doing like it'd be like, and it was like, holy crap, the door's going way too fast. And they don't like having air in the lines and they can leak. So looking back at it, I would not even waste my time. I'd focus more on residential. I'd go in there, I'd make my 100, my $200, whatever, $300, $1 million, and I'd focus on residential locally than I would to do the car wash. Because sometimes too, what happens with car wash is you think it's good, but it's not good, right? They have other locations, and some are in town, and then some are just outside of town, and some are way across the state or whatever, far away. And you get roped into like, well, I want to be your one-stop shop. And then you're doing it and you kind of become their whatever. I'd say words, but I'm being nice. So I just don't recommend it. It's just one of those things. It's like, and then they'll normally get a maintenance guy that's going to do it cheaper than you. It's almost like they don't respect you enough. Now the one guy he'd buy us like he get us like he'd always buy me lunch. He's got lunch. He always buy me lunch when he see me. Nice. He was a nice guy. He really was. And what was it? Got us game tickets one time, right? We got the whole like booth right up there, right? Food buffet. They had like a few of their other workers and stuff. It was a great time. But I slept in my vehicle a lot for those jobs, right? Be coming back at 3, 4, 6 in the morning. I got to pull over. I'm going to crash this truck. Sleeping in my truck, got my legs up on a garage door opener box, because I'm in a little Ford Ranger and, all curled up, like putting something over my head. So hopefully like nobody comes at a carpool area and knocks on the door, what? It's the police. Just want to make sure you're not dead. I'm fine. You got any ID, identification, insurance? I'm going back to sleep. Do 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 do. Kevin says, "Yep." He says, "Done that too. Need walkie-talkies to set limits." Ooh, yeah. And the car wash. Oh yeah, definitely not worth it. Ooh, yeah, man, dude, Kevin, I'm so glad you brought that up. I forgot about that. Dang, dude, I forgot how I like used to because I was doing it after hours. That's what it was. Yeah. So I'd literally have to get down off the ladder, and you have to do it like one limit at a time, like one or two. Like, all right, not too much. We'll go one click, and then you have to go down, like walk around. It have to do it cycle or whatever, because normally the wall button that's in there is not working. It's all corroded and junk, or maybe you got it fixed and you can do it. Or they just want it so it's open and not closed, so they don't hit cars, and then you're sitting there waiting for the timer. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Door does its thing, with a J50 on it, whatever, runs down. Damn it. Still 2 inches off the ground. Go back up, run it up a little bit. Let's go 2 clicks this time, right? And then it's hitting too hard. God, go back in. It's just, I remember one night, it's kind of funny. My daughter remembers this very well. I took her with me. I took her with me. It's one of those things, right? I want to spend some time with my kids, man. I worked my hiney off, let's just say. And when you work, 10 hours a day, and now you got to go put another 4 hours in, to go do something to try to put food on the table. It's tough. It's really tough. And so anywho, I brung my one with me because I had to go to this, basically turn it into a long distant loser. And we drive out there. I remember we're working on it, and I told the wife, I said, "Hey," I said, "if I need help, I'll just call you. Or if she gets squirmy on me, I said, I think it's going to be a quick fix." I said, "I really do." So I said, so we're driving out there, right? It's the daughter and dad time, right? We're bebopping the music. We're just talking about random stuff and lights and whatever's going on. And we get out there, and I remember somehow we got in the bay, and I was doing something, and I think I hit the pedal that activates the machine, and all of a sudden, man, the door went, and I kind of blanked out, like, whoa, and all of a sudden I went, whoa, holy, I said, I got to get out of here. I said, we're going to get trapped. So I went running towards the garage door, which is like a total no. And I got my kid with me. She's running behind me, man. She's like ducking to get out, And I mean, we're almost doing like a Superman. And it's like, we get out, and it's like, I'm like feeling her. I'm like, you okay? Where's my phone? I got my holy crap. The phone's in the truck too. You know what I mean? If we would got trapped in there, we would have literally had to wait for somebody to show up, or I would have had to smash out a window, which don't tempt me. I probably would have done. And otherwise to get out of here. Like, I don't know how else to activate the machine to get the doors open. We're trapped. So it was like, woo, it's like time out, man. No. Like, I mean, I grabbed the cell phone. You check how charged the phone is. That's charged enough. Good. Put that in your pocket. That does not leave my pocket. And it would have been devastating, obviously, if I would have had to call my wife to come out anyways, because it would have been all of that one was probably that was there. So that was about an hour and a half for that one. So they're just real finicky. I've had, we got to do it on off hours or you got to do it on rain days. We've had rain days too that are pretty misty, like a heavy mist, and you're like, oh, I think we're probably good. I mean, they're going to miss a few cars, but not as many on a sunny day. And you go there and somebody will call you, the owner. What in the H are you thinking about shutting the car wash down? You said if it's raining, I mean, it's pretty much a mist and there's pretty big drops. I mean, it's what I call raining. The day after we just had salt on the roads, blah, blah, blah. I'm missing cars. I've seen two go by that pulled out, where I put the cone out or had to tell them or something or whatever, like two cars, you can't shut me down. Well, when this door doesn't work or comes down on a car, you're going to get shut down one way or another, So they're very finicky. I would not recommend it. They're a whole different animal. You got to have all kinds of different hinges, all kinds of different rollers, all kinds of screws, all kinds of different cables, swedges. And they cost a lot more, and it's just more stuff to carry, more time consuming. I just wouldn't entertain it nowadays. Need to do walkie-talkies. Walkie-talkies, good idea. I've even done my phone, not in those. I remember like gate operators, certain things, right? Or an opener, something weird, right? I've set my phone up, like electrical taped it to it and had it record, then go down and do something, right? Hit the button, then come back. And then you're watching your phone. You're like, oh yeah, so that's what it's doing. That light turned on. What the heck? Why is that light turning on? If you don't have somebody with you, oh, you just gotta be creative. Evan says, "What is this?" Says, "I haven't touched them. I just noticed that kind of when I'm out and about." Oh yeah, no, that's cool though. It's good. It's good. I'm like I said, I love that kind of stuff. I love when you guys bring this stuff up because, like I said, it comes out of the memory bank, and I go, "Whoa, hey, just my opinion." It's not to say no. If it's right local in town, and you want to, Cap had to work for a customer, right? I think it was a gate, one of our gate customers, and they want us to start doing some a little bit farther, long distance. I want you to be a long distance loser. And he basically just told them, said, look, I'm not going to be your emergency guy. Like, I'm not saying no, but it's going to be more. You got to understand, we're going to be charging you from travel and when we come out and all that stuff. But I'm not your emergency guy. Fair enough. I can live with that. Like, as long as we set clear expectations that when it's 5 o'clock on a Friday and I'm going camping or I'm going to go out to lake or I got company or friends or I'm having a family event, that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, I made that very clear. And that's the kind of stuff. But for me, oh man, that was a nightmare. It was no fun. There was just so many things. And you tell them, say, look, dude, it needs this, it needs this, and it's hard for them to look as business people, which I understand. They want to get as much money out of this machine as they can, and the springs haven't broke. So then it's like they don't make the sections anymore. And then one time I remember he was gutting, they were selling the one location to a Jimmy John's restaurant. And so he wanted me to go in and tear out the doors. And then I sat on the doors, which was silly, right? I sat on the doors. And finally, when we were done with him, I said, "Hey, man," I said, "what do you want to do with all these sections?" And like I had the room. It was just, but they're out in the field. They're just got grass growing on them and all that crap. Um, oh, we got the track and all that. It's like you were like a junkyard dog. You know what I mean? Like something break, you get, oh, you go look back at my junkyard. Well, of course, if you're not close to your shop, because we did some that were. How far was that one place? I want to say it was a 3-hour drive on good weather conditions. Not fun. Not fun. What's the guy here? Car washes. Done that. Walkie-talkie cabinets. That's the way to find was taking a handheld map, the map gas. Was take a held hand melt mat gas. So I have something. Torch heat set screws. Oh, okay, to break loose. That makes sense for Kevin on that. That's not bad. That's not bad. I tell you, man, these things were so bad. It's like one thing I never did on this car wash. I only think I did one. was I never ever changed the springs. It was like so this is how it works, right? Whoever built these made their money and then they sold it to this other guy and his partner or whatever. And then I was involved. I was never involved with the original owners. So the original owners, their one location, right, had all the good stuff, right? It had belts for cables, actually had literally like looks like car belts, for the cables that run up for the door. And then they go on a nice aluminum pulley. The shaft is either some kind of aluminum or really nice galvanized because it doesn't get all really rusty bad. And then it has a counterweight. Has a counterweight in the side that's got a cover over it. So it's using a counterweight to actually pick up the door. Great system. Works a lot better. The doors are aluminum with some kind of like fiberglass in the center. It's got the car wash rollers with the plastic hinges. Works great. And so all that stuff was great. But then the other, what do they have? One, two, three, either three or four other locations. I think there's four. So they have five. No, one, let me take care. One, two, three, four, five. They had five total at one time. Then they went down to four. But I remember that one was the cat's meow, right? That one was the one that was done right. So then they ended up the rest of them, they all did cheaper, right? Cables, drums, the jack shaft with the opener. The other one still had the opener in the mechanic, but it's like they found out how to make the other locations cheaper. So that's what they did. They made them cheaper, and we do cables all the time. We never did springs. I might have done one spring the whole time. And I mean, these doors got used a ton. In summertime, not so much. They leave them open all day and then shut them at night. But yeah, so I never did a spring, but they were so like, how when you look at something and you go, that's jacked. Like, I mean, like there's like a 1/4 inch divot in there of like corrosion. Like it's almost like you could probably touch stuff and it turns into mush because it's just so corroded. It's like, yeah, I'm not messing with that. Cause I was like, if I do break this set screw off in this thing, I don't know what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? I need another set of springs. And at that time, we never tore the other building apart yet to get extra springs. And who's to say I can get them off those ones? And then when I come back and go, hey, Mr. Customer, yeah, so we had so much in labor. Yeah, we had a lot in labor. And now we also have these springs, and these springs, so, the springs were, you got $1,000 just now in springs. Well, what about the old springs? Old springs were, and it's one of those things. It was a mindset, right? It's my own fault. But now looking at it, I just go, nope. I'd say, nope. We have to do a whole new spring setup, a whole new shaft, a whole new this. You're going to have $3,000 to $4,000 in here. I don't know why you just don't spend $8,000 to buy a whole new car wash door. I would do that instead of putting $4,000 into this. That's what I do now. You know what I mean? Because I did way too much for free. Evans guy, he says, I have yet to go to a wine wash and see airlift operators. It's usually a jack or some kind like that I've seen. Yeah, they normally put 2 cylinders inside and they do some weird, sometimes they'll do like a jog, or sometimes it's 1 cylinder that's connected to it. They do, we got one place, they shut it down. The building's still there, but nobody's using it. And boy, I was up there all the time. They had to buy all kinds of different fittings and you had to relearn like the whole algorithm of how this stuff worked. And like I said, this real finicky, just no way to balance it out. Like too much air pressure makes the door just slam. And sometimes it goes up too fast. And you're trying to balance out because they want the door to be timed just right with the machine so it activates it. And so sometimes you'd like watch the conveyor as it pushes the car out and it'd be like, psh, and you're like, holy crap, come on, go up faster. Holy crap, dude, we can't have it go up that slow. Go turn the air up. And I mean, sometimes it could be just a finite twist of a valve and it's like, now it's a rocket. It's just way too much. It's like, it's one of those jobs. That's probably why most car washes always had a mechanic or a maintenance guy. But what it was is that typically they're so busy, they'd call you out. And then it was like, you kind of come out there and didn't fix it. And why are you charging me this? My maintenance guy fixed it the right way. You didn't fix it the right way. Or sometimes you can fix certain things and, the bills just get kind of lost. It just turns into a weird scenario. All right, guys, I'm going to head out. There's work to be had. So we still got some daylight. I'm going to get on it. So thanks for being here. Like I said, be 5 Mile famous. Don't be a long distance loser. I'm just telling you from experience, I really believe you need to expand the top as you dissolve the bottom, right? Get that funnel opened up. If you got to start doing more Facebook, if you got to do Google, whatever, try to stay 5 mile famous. Try not to go out that 20 mile range zone if you don't have to. I understand that some of you guys are pretty, rule. I mean, so you do have to, and make sure you're charging accordingly, and make sure you get those pictures and as much information as you can so you don't get out there and get blindsided. So, anyway, I'm out. Keep your fingers. Thanks for being here. We'll see you on the next one. Email me anytime with daveadubson@gmail.com. Thanks, Evan, Rusty, Kevin. Kevin's good. Rich B, all that good stuff. What do we have? Rule 2. All of you guys. If I forgot you, I'm sorry. I'm getting old.